Rob Summerwill. I'm the co-founder and CTO of a startup called Varro Technologies. I'm also the community ambassador for Sweetbridge project and for Crypto Chicks here, who are a non-profit, Toronto-based but growing, aiming for gender equality, gender balance within blockchain.
Cool. Anything to add? No?
So I mean, so Sweetbridge is a supply chain on the blockchain project, also looking for liquidity. So the World Bank saying that the largest barrier to world economic growth is systemic lack of access to credit, especially in developing markets. That being unbanked is bad, is a problem, but lack of access to credit is even worse. So that's a key problem that Sweetbridge is looking to resolve.
Could you talk a bit about when you got involved in the blockchain space and kind of how that all came about?
For sure, yeah. So my background before that was video games. I actually worked for Electronic Arts for more than 15 years, EA Sports.
It's in the game.
Indeed, yes. So I worked on 6 FIFAs, NHL, NBA, SSX, and all sorts over 20 years. First in the UK, then in Canada, but 2014 it was sort of time for something new, and I made a new friend called David Lowy in Vancouver who introduced me to blockchain, took me to meetups and things, and later that year I was lucky enough to meet Vitalik for the first time. So that was after the white paper, before they'd done the crowd sale though, so early days where it was just sort of forming. And I was looking back recently and saw a Facebook post I made at the time, which was saying, tonight I'm going to, have the pleasure of having dinner with a guy who is a genius, who is going to be, world famous in years to come. You've never heard of him right now. His name's Vitalik Buterin. But it was actually the following year in 2015 when I was working here in Toronto for 6 months that I really got seriously involved. Going to startups here. Going to meetups, not startups here, on a massively bigger scale. Hundreds of people in the Mars Discovery Center. Sort of Deck Tech by Anthony Diorio and Techno Crypto, which was run by Jeff Coleman, and there was Ethereum Toronto by Paul Pashos. And what a year before had been a dream. It was happening, the mainnet was going live, and I couldn't not get involved. I had to jump in. The analogy I drew in my mind was like, if you'd met Linus Torvalds and he said, I've got this Linux kernel thing, it's just for fun. Hey Bob, C++, could you help a bit? Would that have been a fun thing to do? Would that have been cool? Would it have been a good career move? Really, that if there was the potential that blockchain promised to have at that time and was very apparent to me immediately, I had to get involved, so I did.
At Polymath, we're the Securities token platform, and we are very, very excited to finally see a large amount of securities on the blockchain. When I say Securities token, what do you think of, and how do you see this ecosystem playing out in the future?
Well, I think ultimately, an aim that there is in Sweetbridge really is bringing all kinds of assets on chain, and there are, you have a huge number of assets in the world. I've heard a figure of $220 trillion worth of real estate, for example. You have gigantic amounts of money in financial markets in the form of securities, but you also have all sorts of other assets, and really, I think the key value I think you have of securities tokens is that you are really having that ownership of an asset where in existing markets, it's all indirect, isn't it? I mean, in the old days, you had your share certificate, and then you see this progression of digitization of things, but it's again it's still within these closed walls, that you're reliant on these companies that they will do what they say they do behind those walls. So I think really that the security tokens are are a really important part of this future landscape where all assets really will be on chain, and really what that's doing is it's de-siloing the ownership of those out, and really I think there's that analogy in lots of different areas. Another one sort of close to my heart really is in video games, that you've got all of these in-game assets, things that you buy in game, or at the App Store, the Apple App Store, you buy some music. Do you own it? Well, not really. You've sort of got a license to have access subject to that. So I think really, the real value there of securities tokens is the fact that you can start pulling that ownership back on your side and say, well, yeah, I'm delighted to use your platforms, but don't think that means you own me.
Right. Is there anything you're really excited to learn about this weekend at EDCon?
I think for me, the main thing really, it's the people. It's always the people, and there is just a stellar lineup of people here. It's pretty much everyone in the ecosystem. A theme that I spoke on at the Ethereum Community Conference in Paris was a call for an end to tribalism. That you've got all of these different sort of factions or companies, and I mean you see this right now with Parity and the EIP 999 and all trapped funds things that it's very easy when you're just talking on the internet to demonize people and to assign malicious motives to people's actions, and it's a lot harder to do that when you're actually talking face to face to people. So just last night, for example, at the final session of the evening session of the EIP 0 kind of philosophy of Ethereum discussion, you had Hudson from the foundation talking about EIP 999 with Jutta sitting next to him, the CEO of Parity, and Afri, the author of that one, looking on, right? And you'd think from looking at things on the internet, that these people hate each other and it's just, daggers at dawn. And it's totally not the case at all. Really, the fact is that something I think which is quite unique to the Ethereum ecosystem is like everyone's really nice, we're all just really sort of technologists, or now broader than just technologists, of people seeing, the potential for building a better world, for building better social structures, better organizations. And while we may have differences in approaches, that some projects, they're commercially aimed and using the technology, others, pure altruistic like Giveth, that really we've got an awful lot more commonality than we have difference. And that's the same, I think, across the whole blockchain ecosystem, is that even different chains and different technologies, I mean, it's just different, it's just different engineering trade-offs, really. And when you actually bring people together face to face and just talk, have a beer, all of these differences, it's petty stuff. So I think that's something that's really special, is that, you do have these, great online communities, but that medium is sometimes, not conducive to being nice and kind and empathetic. So the thing that I'm most looking forward to really is meeting people and just talking to them. It's, that's, you can't beat it.
Where can people find more about you on the web, or where can people find out more about your projects?
Sure. So yeah, I'm Bob Summerwill. So Bob, and then Summerwill is summer, like the season, WILL. So if you just Google me, I'm everywhere. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter. You'll find bobsummerwill.com. Sweetbridge is sweetbridge.com. Varro.tech, my own company, and cryptochicks.ca.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bob.
No worries. Cheers.